Live from my Brooklyn vacation home on the birthday of Nicholas Early, it's Stay Busy with the boy, Armon Sadler. We're here. This is a very special day. So before I even get into my introduction, we want to wish Nicholas Early, my co-host, my best friend, my line brother, my co-producer, my co-founder, my co-everything, a happy 25th birthday. Salute to you, King. Salute to you.
Thank you, everybody. I'm so glad to be here. Have to thank God for giving me the life. Thank my family. Thank everybody. I appreciate you all. Love you all. Armon, before we start getting all emotional and stuff. So thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Of course. So I am the less important host of the show today.
Oh my God.
I am Armon Sadler, vegan chorizo poppy, multiple miles Monday poppy, your favorite Uber driver. I do it all. I gave him an intro already, but I'm gonna give him another intro because he's my co-host and he gets to tell you himself all his roles.
What's up, y'all?
How you feeling?
How you doing today? My name is Nick Early. I'm executive producing, co-hosting Stay Busy. Today is one of those days where it's just like, if you keep putting in the work, the things will happen.
Yeah.
It had to be, what 2 years ago now?
2 years ago, like October-ish.
I was a huge fan of this podcast called Blapchat, right? And I was always watching. I was just like, wow, these guests are so dope. The hosts are dope. I was like, if I ever have a podcast, I need to get one of these people on the podcast. Come to find out, do my research, and I started learning more about PERFXN. And I see PERFXN is dope. And look who we got on the pod today, y'all. We got PERFXN right here, live and direct.
What up?
Here with us.
Me.
It is her.
I'm excited to be on. This is the highlight of my day, especially being that it's Nick's birthday.
Yes.
There we go. And
you being one of our former employees of the week, it's always great to bring you in and let you speak about yourself. Before you do that, we're going to give you a proper intro. People need to understand why your name is what your name is. So PERFXN is an engineer, producer, stylist, entrepreneur. Previously managed the Engine Room Audio, a music studio, for 4 years. Co-hosts Illmind's music production podcast, Blapchat, that Nick talked about, super dope podcast. Co-produces Angela Yee's Lip Service podcast. Previously co-produced the interview series Cigar Talk on Rap Radar, and currently is doing post-production for We the Best, DJ Khaled's podcast, the first one, exclusively on Amazon Music.
There we go.
We the Best. Ciroc Green Apple, Lion, like all those phrases he was saying in 2015, all that. But
bless up.
We're not done. Bless up, yo. That's the biggest one. Bless up. She also works as a curator on Our Table. It's a private dinner series honoring targeted industry tastemakers in the worlds of music, fashion, and film. Be sure to check out her new brand, Lifers. Super dope. She's rocking it right now. I'm about to cop one of those, so you gotta actually let me know.
I gotta send you guys some stuff. So let me know your sizes.
Oh, honored.
Hey.
Honored. We are getting slim. I might be a large today. I might be a medium tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? You don't know.
Let me know what you want to look like, and then I'll send you that size.
There you go.
And speaking of her fashion endeavors, PERFXN comes from a background of fashion. It is one of her major loves, and you can see it in her drip. She's styled clients from BET, VH1, Bravo, Power 1051. I mean, come on. If you guys don't understand why she's named what her name is at this point,
thank you.
I don't know. It's on you. So all that to say, we're so thrilled to have you here. Like Nick said, it's feels like a full circle moment. Going to the live show, seeing y'all talk to Just Blaze, and we're gonna get into that a bit later, and then honoring you as our employee of the week, and then bringing you on, and you being willing to come on as well. Why wouldn't I? That is one of the biggest honors. So we're gonna have a lot of fun today. Now, before we get into the fun, I got to do some other shout outs. First, shout out to the listeners, first time listeners, returning listeners, whether you like alphas or Qs. Now, it was our Founders Day on Friday, so be very careful how you answer that question. Whether you like ice water or jungle juice, that's one of those if you know type references, or tables or booths. Now, I'm a booth guy. I like to sit comfortably. I like to sit comfortably.
It depends.
Don't forget sweetened or unsweetened tea.
Oh, yes.
Perfection is a sweetened person. Sweetened.
As am I. I think you're in the minority there, brother.
I'm a tea person. I drink tea. Sweet, unsweet, root, flower, bark, and it don't matter. Tea.
Word. We also got to shout out some of our listeners, some of our Twitter followers. Big shout out to Kojo, Chris Omar, 232, Jerry Bankins, Sean Marcano, and the Versus Chat, T Bundy, D Cheech, Caesar, Brandon, Mike, Joshua Miller, our boy, Cedric Perry, Johnny, Desmond, Beauregard, Edgar, Ryan Shepard, Rising, Brittany, Proverb, Kiana Condors, Nadia, Injera, Hooligan Only, Amari Simone, Jamal, Nelzy, Rico Blue, and Chris, bro. Y'all really like us. Like, y'all really want these shout outs every week. It means so much to us. So much. We got to shout out our VP of everything, the man that you cannot see, but you feel, Kieran Hurley, our GOAT, the backbone of this podcast. Thank you for all that you do. Of course, we got to shout out Anchor, our distribution platform. And if you do not know by now, Anchor will distribute your podcast to all platforms, regardless of your listenership. And of course, Zoom. Shout out to Zoom, allowing y'all to see our beautiful faces. Perfection, they got her selfie light popping. Like, if you can't see, it's
nice hotel glow.
She ain't
enough studio light.
Yeah, she ain't pull up with no average visuals.
I had to come ready for y'all. You know,
we appreciate you. All right, so let's chat. So we, like we said, we met Perfection at the Blapchat live episode. I think it was like October 2018, Nick. And they had
around that time.
And they had Just Blaze pull up, which was incredible. So for you, Perfection, what was that experience like? Was that your first time meeting Just Blaze?
Was it? I think so. Yeah. Like, just even being able to speak to him in that space, it was an honor. You know what I mean? Like, just being a producer and having a conversation with the GOAT, it was amazing. You know, anytime I'm in a space with producers, I feel alive. But to be around some of the greatest to ever do it, it's just humbling. You know what I mean? It was fun. I wish, we didn't get to speak to a lot of the listeners and the people that were present because time restraints. It's funny, Just Blaze was actually really sick that day. He was like really, he was really sick. So he was supposed to get there at a certain time, and then it took him some time to get there because he was just like super sick. So that kind of like threw off the schedule, but grateful that he was still able to make it. But we weren't able to speak to everyone as much as we wanted at the end of the show, and that was kind of a bummer for me. But it was great. It was good to just be in that space with him, and also with our listeners being there, and even everyone that was in the building, just having them be that close to him, I'm sure was, inspiring. So it was good. It was exciting. I definitely want to eventually maybe do another live show, but COVID kind of threw us, off of the, it just messed everything up. COVID kind of messed everything up. So like, you know what I mean? So like, we had to kind of like take a step back and really like just, take some breathing room, because it's just hard to kind of get together, and we're all doing our own thing. So, I'm looking forward to doing another live show, but that one was amazing for our first one, having Just Blaze. It was just super inspiring.
Absolutely. And Nick, I remember Illmind was asking people like, "Yo, who actually listens to the show that's here?" I was one of the people who wasn't a listener. You were the one who got me there.
Oh, so you were invited?
Yeah, I was invited by Nick.
You were the plus one.
Yeah, pretty much. But for you, Nick, like, what was it like that being one of your favorite podcasts and then being there live and seeing the experience live?
I mean, for real, it was the only podcast really that I listened to. I wasn't like a big podcast person, but I love that insight. That of course the Illmind and the team was providing, Atlas, Glam, and Perfection, that were, all the insights from just being an industry person wanting to get in and find my way in as an artist, as a producer myself. So it was like a full circle moment. You know, I finally got to meet everybody. I said hi to PERFXN. Was like, hi. And she was like, hey, thanks for coming. She was like, get up out of here. Like, but
it was just so much going on, but it was definitely an experience.
No, you good. Yeah, but it was a great night. And of course, bringing out Just Blaze, that's like the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
So it was for me a great thing. It's what you want out of being a fan of a podcast. So
right.
It was
and it being an intimate space too, like was great.
Man, people pulled up too, like 1,500. They pulled up, like a bunch of people pulled up. So it was Parks was there. I got to meet Parks. Yeah, like. It was a lot of people there that really be doing stuff in behind the scenes. So like it was just a great night. I think it was a well curated show.
Absolutely. Yeah. So shout out to y'all, Blapchat, podcast that we look up to and we're striving to be like. This week in music, very, very good week. A lot happened. And I'm not even talking about the music releases. We got the Soul Train Awards, which I really, really, really enjoyed. The Soul Train Awards were very, very good. Snow's performance, the visuals. Brandy, there was it was just and you know, there's this narrative around award shows, especially ones for our culture, and we've talked about it so many times that like they're not good. And I feel like the BET's really stepped up their award shows during COVID, but the Soul Train Awards especially was like I was moved by it. Like my spirit felt really good. I saw all your tweets, Nick, so I'm sure you got a lot to say about it.
No, it's important. I think it's important that we have this whole conversation about, like, you know, there was a lot of frustration behind the Grammys and whatever, you know, people having sentiments that they have, but that's why I think it's so important. Like, if you're going to complain about the Grammys and not watch the Soul Train Awards and not support our shows that are for us, then like, what are you doing? So I definitely made sure, given that we were vocal about how we felt about it, that I supported, and I do watch the Soul Train Awards regardless anyways. Like, and so I was really, really excited to see that and be able to support our programming and people that really, you know, showcased us, and that's what Soul Train was about in the first place. So glad that it's still going, it's still thriving, and it's modern, of course, and they put on a great production, and so I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Was Brandy your favorite performance for PERFXN?
Oh yeah,
I missed it, but I saw highlights. I think Brandy did an amazing job. I loved, you know, it's crazy. I think you're right. Like, in the sense of, people always complain about the Grammys, the MTV Awards and things like that, but we don't necessarily see the same support for, you know, awards that are for the culture, right? So I think the Soul Train Awards, maybe the BET Awards, but I think the Soul Train Awards is definitely going to become bigger than what it was, because now we're realizing that we need to continue to support each other and support our own. But the highlights that I did see were dope. Tisha Campbell was hosting, right?
And Tashina Arnold.
Yeah, and they were hilarious to me. It was great to see like their dialogue, and I think they need a show.
Yeah, they performed too. They killed their performance. I was like,
yeah. Yeah, I wish I would have seen the whole thing, but you know, the highlights were great, and I think it's good to see what they did with the awards, especially through COVID and you know, like the restrictions that we've had. Like, the fact that they were able to still make it what it was very good to see.
Yeah, for sure. Moving right along, a show I really enjoyed this week, the Patron More Than Tequila music series. They did their second show this week. It was headlined by Black, but it also featured Kitty Cash, BRS Cash, and Mariba. I realized I was pronouncing her name wrong this whole time. But it was really, really great. Mariba opened the show with 3 songs. She's just she has a great presence. Like, she's a Southern belle. She's very, very peaceful and was so gracious towards everyone. Like, it felt like there was an audience there. And then Kitty Cash is an incredible DJ. Like, she mixed Teach Me How to Dougie, Going Bad, and Plain Jane, like, all together into a mashup. It was super fire. And then she did Aaliyah's Rock the Boat vocals over Rihanna's Work Beat. I was like, those were her first 2. I was like, yo, you can honestly stop here. Like you're really doing your thing. Right. And then she went into, you know, bops like Megan Thee Stallion's Body, City Girls Pussy Talk, Tap In Saweetie, Pop Smoke The Woo. We got to see BRS Cash do his big internet hit, Throat Baby. It was really, really cool to see that. He has really cool presence live. I'm interested in hearing more of his catalog. And then Black, of course, you guys know how I feel about Black. Really, really amazing set. His band is absolutely amazing.
Love the band, yeah.
He really puts a lot of effort and detail into his live performance. performances. And he's really improving as a vocalist. Like he really knows his voice, and he kind of understands like what he can do and what he can't do. So he's mastered what he can do. Usually he ends his sets with Problems, which is one of his biggest songs of all time. So I heard it. I love Problems. All right, bet that's cool. I'm like hearing that beat drop, and then he sat down on the stool. I was like, wait, what's he about to do? Is he about to do? Is he about to do Stand or Outside? Like those are my favorite songs by him. If he does those, I might go crazy. He did an acoustic version of Cutting Ties, and like Cutting Ties is already super hard, but like hearing it acoustically, and like you could see that he was really singing. Like he was really putting effort into singing the song. And it was dope. Like I've watched the concert back like 3 times already. Not gonna lie.
So this was on Instagram Live?
Instagram Live, yep. Yeah. It was like very highly produced though, like camera angles, and like it was a production. It was really great. Sure. I really enjoyed it. So shout out to Patron for that. Their first More Than Music series featured Rhapsody and Deontay Hitchcock. So I think they went up, and I can't wait to see the third one. There's going to be a third show. Yeah. I think the series is done.
When are they doing the third one?
I'm not sure. They haven't announced it yet. But the first one was in October, and then this one was early December. So maybe around like January, possibly like February. We'll see. But yeah, shout out to them for that. I actually wrote about the show, and I've been really missing live music. And so like even if I was watching it on my phone, like it still felt like I was there, and they really did a good job in creating that environment. So yeah, shout out to Patron for that. Jack Harlow announced his debut album. That's what they all say. And his album cover featured him singing a limo, very nice outfit. A mixed batch of kids at the window looking to sign autographs, and then some beautiful black legs next to him. It's very harmless. I saw the cover, I was like, oh, cool, Jack's dropping his debut album. That's where the conversation stopped for me, because I just want to hear the music. For Twitter and for Clubhouse and for everyone else, there was evidently an issue with the fact that Jack Harlow was pictured on his album cover next to a black woman. Thoughts, reactions, feelings?
I'm gonna defer to Perfection because I saw you tweet about a Perfection, so I'm curious.
I'm just so tired of like the fake woke perspectives. Like, I would say everyone's entitled to their opinion, and you know, I tend to kind of like not be too judgy with people's opinions because you don't know people's backstory, you don't know what triggers people. So you know, I tread lightly in those instances, but sometimes I just feel like, man, damn if you do, damn if you don't, you know, like literally. Like I didn't find a problem with the album cover. I think it was dope. You know, it was weird, right? Because there was a conversation on Clubhouse, right? Like someone created a chat room about it and said that like, what was the title? It said that
Jack Harlow is the problem with hip hop right now.
Yeah, his album cover.
Jack Harlow, yes, exactly. His album cover is the problem with hip hop.
That sounds like a fucking headline, like a shade room, like not even shade room, like just I don't know, just like a clickbait headline that you'd see on Twitter. And again, like I think everyone's entitled to their opinion, and you don't know what triggers people, but I just think that it was just unnecessary. I think that, you know, it helped Jack Harlow. Right now, people are gonna want to listen to the album. I think Jack Harlow's dope. I think his contribution to hip hop has been dope. I don't know him personally. I don't know his background, so I can't say whether he's a good or bad person. But what I've seen from him has been positive. He has good music. And again, it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't, right? I saw some people being upset because there was a black woman next to him and they said that he was sexualizing her because her leg was out. And I'm like, bruh, you see her calf.
You ain't see no titty, you ain't see no coochie, nothing. It was just legs.
That's one. And then two, some people were like, oh, well, he only has like black kids outside the car. And it's like, no, he had 2 white kids there. Like it was clear as day. And then I had to log off a Clubhouse because I was like, you know what? Like this is when I have to go. Like some girl said that like the kids outside of the window remind her of like slave children in Africa. And I was like, bruh, like Are we
Finding
taking
problems where
it
there's none.
there? Are we taking it there? You know what I mean? And for me, it's like, whatever. Think what you want to think. You can look at you can look at anything and think what you want, right? But I think, like, again, yes, like Nick said, you're creating problems that are not there. And I just feel like, let's say if he had a white woman sitting next to him and solely white kids outside the car, what do you think the conversation would be?
Now he's stealing the culture, blah blah blah, so on and so forth, right?
He's in the hip hop industry, he's in Black culture, and he's not showing love to Black people. He has all these white people in his car and outside his car. So that's why for me, it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't, right? You show love to the culture, it's still a problem because you're white and you shouldn't do it. And then it's like, if you don't show love to the culture, it's like, well, you're in our culture and you're not showing us love and you're white. So for me, it's just like, what do you want him to do? I think maybe if he would have created a completely different album cover that didn't have a woman and children, people would be happy, but they probably still find a problem with it. So for me, it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. And if you don't like it, don't consume it.
Simple as that. Simple as that. This whole conversation reminds me of those tweets where people are like, yo, what y'all mad about today? Because people always find something to be mad about. It really don't matter. Like, they wake up angry. It's like, bro, y'all ain't brush your teeth, y'all ain't eat breakfast, but you're mad at something already. Come on.
And mad at someone that you don't even know. And it's like, you know, just to even be on the topic of that, like, there was a conversation about Mulatto on Clubhouse trying to cancel her. And in that instance, I understand why people might feel away with her name, right? Like, because of the history. But it's like, I think that if it's something that's really triggering to people and it's a huge issue, the person that's behind it is going to do what they need to do or what they should do to correct the issue. So I feel like, let's say Mulatto's instance, I heard that she's considering changing her name, and, you know, maybe she should, maybe she shouldn't, but it's like, we're having all this outrage when these people don't even know you. You know what I mean? You're doing like all these tweets, all these conversations, cancel culture, and like, these people don't even know you, you know? And some of the issues just are like pointless to me. The Jack Harlow, like the Mulatto, that's a whole different conversation. But like the Jack Harlow the cover, I'm just like, man, this is just a waste of conversation. Literally. I think it was classy. Yeah, I think the cover was classy. You know, I didn't take offense to it. I didn't think he was over sexualizing children or women, you know, but like, this is what happens when you have so many opinions on social media.
Yeah. It's so interesting too. I think in Clubhouse, like, for those who aren't on Clubhouse, you know, Clubhouse being the drop-in conversation application, it's kind of buzzing in the social media scene right now. A lot of industry people are in there, and I think a lot of fake industry people are in there, and a lot of people who just want to be in the industry are in there and don't really know what's going on. And so,
you're preaching today,
right, right. But for me, it's just like, I love the counter rooms to the controversial rooms. So like, there's the Kevin Hart situation, then there's the counter room.
The counter room to the counter room to the counter room.
Exactly.
Well, let's recap the recap.
Exactly. And so I love that I was in a room right after that, because I maybe spent like 45 seconds in there, like just enough. And while I was in there, the guy who was talking was the guy who designed the cover. And so he was talking like, basically like, y'all are really reading into this way too much. Kind of his sentiment. He's like, I mean, we referenced there was a certain picture that they referenced from, I think it was a black star that like had some sort of picture. It might have been Denzel. I don't know if I'm crazy, but like, they referenced that from another black star, and like, it was just so many nods to black folks in there that they were thinking about. And the guy, so it was just like, y'all really just trying to find something where there's nothing. But I was in the counter room, and it was just like, why are we giving, I think the room was literally named like, why are we giving meaningless opinions like credence? Like, why are we acknowledging meaningless opinions as like, you know, people to speak on what we speak on? Because like, they were dragging the guy who started the room. Like,
they should.
Literally dragging him.
You were in that room? You were in the
I think at one point he even left the room, because he was just like, man, because everyone started going in on him. Everybody started going in on him.
What are you doing? What are you doing, sir?
And not to mention the fact that he's like a producer. So I think like you got to tread lightly when you're doing stuff like that, because like he has a lot of followers. He's done records. He has placements, but like you can get yourself canceled by like having conversations like that. And yeah. And I think it was overwhelming for him because he just started apologizing, and you know, people are like, well, change. Yeah. I think he tried to like have a conversation about it, but he went about it the wrong way. And I think it was cool to see that people actually like support Jack Harlow and didn't make that a thing, right? Because it could have become something bigger than what it was, where it's like, yeah, fuck Jack Harlow, let's like cancel him. And it's like, no, this kid has done nothing wrong. Why are you starting this problem when there shouldn't be one? Yeah, so I think that was dope, but it definitely was overwhelming for him. I was kind of going in and out the room, and everybody was just going at him. Like literally, they're like, "This is dumb. Why you didn't call it something else? Like it's ridiculous." And at one point, he left the room, and I was like,
"As you should. Just get out."
Go on, son.
Let's jump into something more positive on Clubhouse.
Right.
There was a beat battle that happened. Talk to us about it, Perfection.
The beat battle. Interesting. So, you know, Clubhouse, I've been on Clubhouse maybe for about a month and a half already. And when I got on Clubhouse, it was already a thing. I've been seeing people talk about it on my timeline. I'm not really a follower, you know, so for me, it's like sometimes I'll get on something late because I just need to feel it when I do it. So I've seen people talk about Clubhouse. And one of my friends, she was like, you should get on Clubhouse. Let me send you an invite. I'm like, whatever, cool. So I get on it and it was cool. It was dope. Like the chat rooms and, you know, just being able to have access to and conversations to certain people, and just another way to network and just talk and chill. Right. Yeah. And what I like about Clubhouse is the fact that you don't need to be on camera. You don't need to get ready for the camera, or like, you could just be in your PJs at home talking shit, right? So I think that's what's dope about Clubhouse. So, you know, I was in a lot of rooms with a lot of peers, and Cardo was always in certain rooms. And I've met Cardo before, you know, never worked with him, but like,
God's plan.
Yeah, Cardo got wings. Like I've never, yeah, we could go down the list. But we know each other, but like, not personally, we don't chill, but we've been around each other. And, you know, we've been in Clubhouse rooms. And one day he was like, you know what, man, boy, wanted about to do a beat battle in an hour, just randomly. This was, I think tomorrow they're going to do a beat battle, which is probably the fourth one that they've done. So the first one was that day where he's like, we about to do a beat battle. It was just like on the whim, last minute. So, you know, they did the beat battle in like an hour's time, and I played some beats, but it wasn't as serious as it is now, right? Like it was just a last minute thing. They did it. I played beats and they're like, oh shit, this is dope, whatever. Then they're like, we're going to be back next week. So we're like, cool. So the next week they took it a bit more, not took it more serious, but they had more structure to it. And they're like, okay, this time we're going to have like, you know, judges. We're really going to make it a competition. So, you know, most of the guys that were on stage, I knew. So like, I know Vinyls, Seven Thomas, you know, Cardo. I've met Boy Wonder in person, but I don't think that he kind of made the correlation between it being me and who he's met before.
Because you got your government on Clubhouse, don't you?
Yeah, but like, like I've seen Boy Wonder in certain spaces, but we've never had like extensive conversations for him to like be able to remember me. I think if he's seen me in person, he'll put two and two together, but I don't think he did on Clubhouse. So, you know, I know some of the guys that were judges. So Vinyls was the one that pulled me up to the stage, and I was like, fuck it. So, you know, I just started playing some of my hardest beats, and
there you go.
My strategy was, because they were like, you know, come with the energy. So my strategy was, I want to make it to the final round. So I'm going to play the hardest shit that I have. Like, not hardest that I have, but like just hard shit. Shit with bounce, shit that makes you move, shit that, you know, you'll be like, oh shit. So that's what I did. And I ended up like at the final round, and for some reason at the end, my signal starts going in and out, and I'm like, great. I'm like, great. So T Watt, who's another producer. He got a couple records, and I think he got a couple platinum records. So he won against me because he played more diverse beats at the end. My signal was going in and out. So that kind of like made me lose the final round, but they kept saying that I won because they didn't want a platinum producer in the battle anyway, because it's like, dude, you already have platinum records. So
Right.
I think they technically gave it to me. But it was dope. It was dope to just be on that platform, be able to play my music in front of everybody. You know, it's interesting because we always trying to send people music, trying to get our music listened to, from A&Rs to artists to managers to labels, but just being able to easily play my beats on this platform when I know everyone's watching, right, was just dope. And you know, it was humbling to see that the guys were embracing me in that sense. And it was dope to see me just go to the end, right? So that was that. And then they did another beat battle the next week, and Loudy Luna won, which is another female producer, and she's like super fucking nasty, super nasty. So it's funny, I tweeted, I said, I'm not going to be in a beat battle this week. I'm going to just be a spectator. I'll let everybody get their shit off, because I didn't want it to look like I'm entitled, or that I feel like I have to be on every stage. It's like, no, I had 2 weeks. I did my thing. People already listened to my music. Let me not be too thirsty, you know? So I was like, I'm going to just watch, let everybody enjoy and play their shit. So at the end, when the female won, you know, they're like, another woman, like, you know, won the beat battle. This is crazy. Like, the women are killing the guys. And then Vinyls is like, we should bring back PERFXN from last week. And mind you, I'm listening, like I'm on my bed, and I'm like, oh shit, like I was so not expecting it, because I was just like, just sit, you know, I'm just chilling today. And the universe was like, nah.
You can't
so
chill.
Vinyls, so Vinyls was like, we should bring back PERFXN from last week and have her play some beats against Loudy Luna. And I'm like, you know, I'm watching my phone, I'm like, oh shit. Wasn't expecting this. And then they're like, okay, we'll ping her. Let's look and see if she's in here. We're gonna ping her. And I'm like, fuck. So they brought me on stage, and I'm like, yo, like I was not expecting this. So I don't even have my laptop on. So give me like 2 minutes to get my shit together. So they're like, all right. So I just played my shit. And, you know, me and her were kind of, I wouldn't say we were going against each other. I think it was a moment, right? It was a moment for them to say, a woman won last week, a woman won this week. Let's highlight that. Let's put them together. So they didn't really say like Loudy won or PERFXN won. It was just like, just go back to back. So once we were done, they're like, yo, this is dope. Like, the women are really coming with it. They killing the guys. And I think that was just dope. And it was humbling too, at the fact that they brought me back, especially when I wasn't expecting it, you know, because I didn't want to feel entitled. I didn't want to feel like, well, I know the guys on stage, so they should bring me into every battle. You know, like I wanted to just play my position and play it cool, because I didn't want them to be like, damn, like you was just up on stage 2 weeks in a row, give someone else an opportunity. So I think that's why, like, the universe was like, nah, let's throw you in there. And it was dope because like, it was dope because Drake was on stage.
Oof.
And 21 Savage. So, but it's funny, I didn't really pay attention to Drake because I guess I was a little nervous because I felt unprepared. Because it just all happened so quick, you know what I mean? Like,
it's those moments.
So I wasn't really like, oh my God, let me play something for Drake. I was more so like, shit, what am I gonna play? Because like, they just put me in here so last minute. I didn't have a chance to prep and be like, let me play this shit. But that was just so dope to see. Like, you know, Drake, I guess, has been on Clubhouse. He got a little sneaky profile, but now everyone knows that it's him. So obviously, I'm sure the guys were like, because the guys were saying it early that day. They're like, you never know who's gonna pop in. So I was like, all right, somebody's gonna come in here. And then Drake went in, and he didn't say nothing. At one point, they kept asking him, what do you think of this beat? What do you think of this beat? And he was quiet. And they're like, well, guess he's not there. And at one point, he was like, my bad, man. He's like, I didn't hear that last beat. and that's the only thing he said for the rest of the night. But he was present. Like he changed his Abby picture, and so that was dope just to be on that stage and be able to play my music on that platform, and like just it gave me an opportunity to show people on a larger scale what I'm doing, because it's different to like post stuff on socials or email people, but when you have a platform where everyone is watching, like that just made it that much better for me. So I'm grateful. You know, I'm humbled and blessed to be able to have the relationships to be able to finesse that.
There you go.
All right.
But yeah, but I do think I think Clubhouse is a dope platform for that and for things related, you know, similar to that, where it can highlight certain people in certain industries. And I just think it's dope for producers, you know, like I think it's dope for, I think it's dope for producers to be able to be in that space, and for them to even just be able to have that space for producers, because you know these guys are fucking multi-platinum, you know, Grammy winning, so they don't need to do this, but it's great to see them do it for the culture. So you know, it was dope to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you for that insight. Shout out to you for killing the battle. I gotta pop into the next one if you do it again, and
tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I mean, I won't be. I probably I'm not looking to, you know, bombard the stage unless
they might bring you up again.
Yeah, like I might give it a couple weeks before I'm like, hey guys, let me play some shit, you know. But because it's all about strategy. It's about strategy, right? Like you want to play your position, you want to play it cool, because people respect that. When you're sometimes like you have to shoot your shot and be assertive, but everyone doesn't like that, you know. So like, I just like to play it cool. So maybe in like 2 weeks or so, I'll be like, hey, let me play some shit. But yeah, they do it every Sunday at like 5:30 on Clubhouse.
Gotcha. Awesome. All right. To finish up the chat, we're going to briefly predict this upcoming versus Ashanti versus Keyshia Cole. Who y'all think taking it?
It's Keyshia for me.
It's Ashanti for me.
It's Keyshia. It's Keyshia for me too. It's Keyshia. Now here's the thing. I think people immediately. I think Ashanti might have bigger records, like more popular records, whether it's features and stuff. People forget what Keyshia was giving us. Like,
no, people know Keisha's deep cuts. People know the second verse on Keisha's deep cuts. You know what I'm saying? Like
it's gonna be good. Like, you know how these verses goes. We predict, everyone thinks one person's gonna come, and then someone else comes in and kind of shocks us. And it's like, you know, like, so I'm going with Keyshia. I'm expecting Ashanti to bring the energy to really make it a competitive and fun event. Like, it's gonna be more fun than anything, because they both have just amazing records that, like, you can't deny. Love, I Should Have Cheated, Let It Go, Foolish, Unfoolish, like, bro, what's love? Like, it's gonna be mad.
People are gonna be in their feelings that day. You saw Cardi B's tweet where she said, like, all of the men, all of the boyfriends or whatever, including my man, like, tread lightly and be nice that day, because we're all gonna be singing lyrics and giving you the side eye.
I should have cheated. Please be kind to your girl, because if that I should have cheated comes on and she looks at you,
they're gonna be like,
right.
But they both have hits though. Like they both have super hits. But I do think that Ashanti's bigger and more popular records, mainstream records, might be an advantage to her. But it's going to be interesting to see what they play. I've seen a couple of tweets where people are like, 20 songs? Like, do they have 20 records? But let's not forget, they might play records that they wrote for people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what Versus is about too, right? It's not just like solely records that you have of your own. It's records that you were featured on, records that you might have written for people. So it's gonna be dope to see, and I'm glad that they're bringing the women on board. Obviously, there haven't been too many female verses, right? We had the Patti LaBelle,
Patti and Gladys. You had Alicia who was on with John, Monica.
Right, and that's it.
I can't think of anything else.
So this is gonna be exciting. It's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope.
I can't wait. Well, PERFXN gave us board meeting content in our chat, so the board meeting is about to be lit later. But
it's gonna hit.
All this talking, I know I'm parched. I'm sure Nick is thirsty. PERFXN got her tea. Nick, what you sipping on, bro?
I've been busting down this smoothie right here. I just made this in the house.
It's the
You
birthday
know,
smoothie.
exactly for the birthday. We loving ourselves.
Health and
Because,
wealth.
later will be activated. Brought to you by Casamigos. But
You should put the
in the
Casamigos
meantime,
in the smoothie. You should put a Casamigos shot
you
in the
know,
smoothie.
you know what's funny? You know what's funny? I was going to do that, but I was like, let me relax because maybe I could do another one because I got a bunch of fruit.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm sipping on this little smoothie here. Some dark berries, a little bit of mango in there. But our half and half is coming out of abc.net in Australia. So it was interesting. I was looking through, I get ASCAP. I'm a member of ASCAP, and they send out this thing called the Daily Brief. There's a bunch of different articles, and that's typically where I source the half and half. So I found this article by Angel McCormick talking about a dumbing down of music. Have streaming services changed music releases forever? And I think this is a conversation that happens a lot in the industry. And obviously, we don't want to beat a dead horse, but I think the article brought in some interesting points because obviously this is an international capacity, so we're speaking like what's going on in Australia and those charts there, but speaking towards Spotify and streaming is kind of like a worldwide situation. So the article basically is the writer is speaking about this guy named Alan Cross, who's a music journalist and a founder of the Music Technology Group, and basically just sharing a lot of his insight from his research and his studies about what might be the situation, what's going on. And so what's going on is, of course, as we know, songs are getting shorter. The duration of times people are playing to this sort of, the listener's attention span isn't as long, and bigger albums are playing towards the metrics of streaming and how you can make more money. That's why we get hence 45 song albums from Chris Brown. We get 25 songs, or how many, 22 songs from Drake, or whatever, how many songs on Scorpion, whatever it was.
25.
But point being, yeah, 25. I was right the first time. See, my instinct. But it was just really interesting because they give this example of saying Spotify's Australia top 50 chart. Only 2 of the top 10 songs listened to by Australians today are longer than 3 minutes. And one of the longest songs on the top 50 wasn't a new release, which is Dreams by Fleetwood Mac, which is that song that's been going viral on the TikToks with my guy who's on the skateboard. Drinking his cranberry juice. But it was really interesting because when we talk about the sort of fast food era that we're in with this music coming out, PERFXN, we were talking off camera, but off recording, we were just talking about like how there's so much music coming and we don't always have time to get to it, and we would like to get to it, but in this day and age where people are just so quick with releases, so quick with moving things along, it's like, where are we, what are we sacrificing here by giving you so much content at such a fast rate? And that's what the Mr. Alan Cross was talking about. He says, quote, "The problem is that song might get you 1 million streams, but no fan engagement." And so they were starting to look at that the shorter songs may be successful, but like it's conflating how musicians are writing songs, and it's changing the structure in which musicians are writing. So speaking towards like, he was saying, is this a problem with the diversity of music? How are we homogenizing the writing structures? Because people are putting maybe 10-second intros and then the chorus is right there. And so he had another great quote that he was talking. He said, quote, "It has subverted and changed songwriting and production. So we have shorter intros, we put the choruses up front, we add as many sugar high hooks as possible before the song is half a minute old. Anything to drag that 30-second mark so everyone can get paid." Because of course they were speaking to within Spotify that a song only earns money if it's played for 30 seconds or more, which is obviously an incentive for a shift in songwriting. So what are y'all thoughts on like how this is like the business influencing the culture in a way? What are your thoughts on this?
PERFXN.
We'll start with you. I know it's a huge thing to tackle.
Yeah, I get it in the sense of like creatives feel like they constantly have to create and create differently because you touched on like people's attention spans. People's attention spans because of social media have like drastically changed, right? Like even for me, like my attention span has changed in the sense of like if I hear a song for a good 20, 15, 20, 30 seconds, maybe 45, and it's not intriguing, like the writing doesn't capture me, I might let it ride for a bit or I'll like move on to the next, right? Or just like aside from even music online, if
Yeah.
I'm browsing online and a web page doesn't load in the first couple seconds, it's not for me.
It's really how it be.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to
Facts.
refresh it. And if I keep
Right.
next, so people's attention spans has drastically changed over the years because of the internet and social media. So, I do think that creatives want to be able to capture people's attention, and it has like, made people try to like change the way they create. And I get it, because you gotta adapt with the times, right? You gotta like
Right.
give the people what they want, give the people what's working, and on one end, I think for some people they might be sacrificing like the quality and quantity, mainly the quality of their music,
Yeah.
because they just feel like they have to like release music this way or release music this fast, and that's unfortunate.
Right.
With streaming, it's interesting. Spotify has been changing so many things with their platform that I feel like it's becoming less beneficial for the artists in a sense. They came out with an article about a week ago, and I don't really want to quote too much because I can't recall exactly what it was, but it was something about like, I don't know, I just feel like everything they do is just making it harder for creatives to get paid by them, right? It's like, I seen something a couple weeks ago where they like, I gotta send you guys the article, but it's something about like the only way artists will get paid is if like, or artists will get paid less if they do this advertising, like kind of this new advertising initiative that they have. But
Yeah,
if
I
like
know what you're talking
artists,
about.
you know what I mean? But if
Yeah,
artists like end up
Yeah.
using that advertisement space, then they might get paid less. Like just weird stuff that they're doing, that it's like artists are in such a rush to put out music, but they might not necessarily even be getting paid for that content. So it's weird. I think streaming is great because no one is buying CDs, no one's going to get
Right.
physical, releases. So streaming is a way to get it now and get it like wherever you are. You can download an album anywhere you are as long as you have the streaming service. So I think that's great, but I do think that they need to change their structure to make it more beneficial to the artist. Like I think if you click, I don't know. I think if you listen to a song for 30 seconds and that's the only way the artists get paid, I'm kind of conflicted by that. Like I get it,
Of
but
course.
then also it's like, damn. Like what if they
Right.
listen to my shit for 15 minutes? I should at least be able to get something, you know what I mean? So
15 minutes worth. Yeah.
yeah, 15 seconds or whatever. But it's funny because I was reading an article about Chance the Rapper and how his
Okay.
former manager is suing
suing
him.
him.
Did you guys see that?
Pat the
Yeah, yeah.
manager?
The former
Like
manager.
Pat? Oh, the one before Pat.
Pat, I think Pat, what's his last name?
Pat the
Pat.
man. Pat Corcoran?
Yeah.
Oof.
So
They're
he's
not
he's
together no more?
suing, no. So he's suing Chance the Rapper because he's owed
What?
money. Yeah, he's owed money. Um because I guess they had
Whoa.
a oral agreement. They didn't have it in writing, which that's there goes that.
Mhm.
Um but I read like the deposition of the case, and it said that he wants the money that he's owed, because I guess Chance ended up hiring his brother and his manager to now run his career. And I guess Pat was
Wow.
saying that with Chance's, I don't really listen to Chance, and it's funny, I was speaking to some friends about a week ago, and they were like, man, what happened to Chance? Like the hype has died down compared to when he came out with his mixtapes. He was the guy back then. Now it's like, and I was reading that it was mainly because of his last release. It was a flop, and his manager was telling him like,
It did.
well, Chance announced his album, and he didn't even tell Pat that he wanted to release the album or that he was gonna announce it. He just announced
See,
it. He's
that's
like,
yeah. Come on.
yeah. So like, I think in February he's like, I'm gonna release the album in July, and his former manager was like, one, where did this come from? We didn't even speak about this. And two, that doesn't make sense because you have so much going on right now. Like you have a wedding that you're planning this year, and like it
Right.
makes no sense for you to say that you're going to release the album in the next 3 months. Like, so he was saying that when they ended up doing the studio sessions, that Chance just wasn't they weren't productive sessions. Like, I guess there were people in and out that, you know, weren't helping the sessions be productive. Like, I guess Chance wasn't coming up with material that was good enough, or he wasn't inspired. Like, basically the album was rushed. The quality and the content wasn't, you know, was subpar.
It reflected.
And his manager was like, I don't think you should release this. I don't think you should release this. And he rushed and released it, and it was a flop. And he said that he ended up, I guess they ended up trying to do, like, somebody said, when all else fails, go on Ellen DeGeneres. So he ended up like, so he ended up doing all these appearances that ended up not really helping his album. And in turn, he kind of had to speak on the fact that the album wasn't necessarily as, or you know, like the like the interest and the attention and just the success of the album wasn't the same as his prior releases. Yeah. And his manager was like, well, we tried to have the conversation with him not to rush the album, and it reflected. And I guess afterwards he ended up like kind of blaming the manager or saying that whatever, and then he ended up hiring his brother and his dad. And that's just an example right there of like where artists feel like, no, we got to get this done, we got to release it, we got to put something out for the people, and then the quality was affected, you know? So I think like the fact that we're able to just post stuff on streaming services, like, and get it done quickly, for some people it's an advantage because it's like, fuck it, I'm gonna release, you know, I'm gonna make a song today and release it tomorrow. We have that access, which is great. But just because you have that access doesn't mean you have to rush to use it, because quality still matters. You know what I mean? So right. I think streaming has definitely changed the way we release music and just music in general, because you do have the access to put something up as quick as possible. But also I think like, you know, that gives people the mindset that like they can release something whenever they want, and then it ends up not being quality. So just because we have access to post something right now doesn't mean you necessarily have to use it, you know? So
I really, I love that you brought that up, because as we close, Roddy Ricch put out a quote recently talking about how he can't, like, you know, a lot of artists put projects out every 3 months, and he is the type of person where I'm like, yo, I have to live, I have to experience life, but then have things to write and rap about before I just start making songs just to make music. I'm not gonna rush an album. So I love that you gave the Chance example and brought that around, and it perfectly led into the
I seen that tweet by Roddy, and I felt that, because, you know, I think in this generation, especially with the internet, and I blame the internet and social media for a lot of stuff, because like it gives you the mentality that like I need to be it makes you competitive, right? Because there's so much music being released, so many people trying to, you know, accomplish the same goal as you. But it also can like mess things up to where people do feel like they need to rush and do this, you know? And like, I don't think that a product needs to be rushed just because we have the access to release it, you know? So like, to make it and release it. So when Roddy said that, I respected that, because I'm sure people are like, where's Roddy? We need a new album. We need a new album. But then there are artists that we know that put out a mixtape every 2 months, and it's like it's cool, you put out music, but like, what is it doing? Like it might work for their core audience, because their core audience just doesn't care what they release, right? But like, is it hidden? You know what I mean?
Is it hidden? That's the $1 million question.
But I do think that like streaming is great, because we just have to get with the times, right? And get with technology. Like again, no one's walking around with CD players. So like, this is the new wave, but I do want them to like just respect artists more and pay us.
Boom.
Pay us. Period.
Well,
period. Pay us.
We didn't give y'all a half and half there. We gave y'all full and full. So
right.
Shout out to that. We're gonna slide into our employee of the month. We got a new employee of the month for y'all. This person is incredible. So we want to give a big shout out to Junae Brown. Shout out to Junae. Yes.
Junae. She's been grinding for a long time.
She has. She left her seat at the table at Labels to create her own table, Brown to Perfection Agency. Now, she refers to herself as the Beyoncé of Marketing. If you do not know what Brown to Perfection is, it's a creative marketing and event production agency that specializes in helping brands, companies, and artists become the best version of themselves. On a client level, they offer traditional and digital marketing, brand strategy, and experiential event services. Within their own community, they provide resources in marketing, business development, and wellness through digital content and branded products. This includes curated niche events, mainly targeted towards millennial creatives and women of color, such as vision board and affirmation workshops, happy hours, fitness classes, and beyond. You can find Junae tweeting out gems daily. Very, very positive person, brings great energy to the timeline. It's always a pleasure to see her doing well and just, encouraging people and uplifting people. And it's so necessary in these times, especially within our community, because we can often be very competitive with one another. But Junae is constantly uplifting others. So we're very excited to highlight her as our Employee of the Month. You all are going to get to hear from her this month. We're so excited to bring her on. One more time, shout out to our new Employee of the Month, Junae Brown.
Yeah, she's dope. She's been betting on herself for a while too. I like the fact that she moved to Atlanta, changed her environment. And I love her, I think they're called brownie bites, like a little segments. Yeah, she's dope for sure.
Yeah. So shout out to her. Let's get into the music, the slide deck. We got some fun music for y'all. We're going to let our guest begin. So what did you bring for us to play today?
My song is Everybody Knows by Chris Brown.
Produced by Tariq Beats and Paul Cabin. Let's get into it.
Love. You don't know how I feel since you've been gone. Easy fall, I should've let go, 'cause everybody knows about you. Everybody knows about you. Everybody knows about you. Everybody knows about you. And they shouldn't fucking know about you. You ain't used to know about nothing. You was just a girl from the subs. You was with the 3-play-3 what? How you supposed to know about love? Hoes on hoes every day. How you think God slipped up? All this he say, she say. Damn it, I had enough. With you in the crib, that wasn't enough. Let you hit the mall and run that shit up. I'm the first one to put you in the foreign. But for me, you wasn't important. Now you acting like you earned it. Go and smile for the camera. I hope that all the shit was worth it. I hope that all the shit was worth it. You don't know how I feel since you've been gone. Easy fall, I should've let go, 'cause everybody knows about you. Everybody knows about you. Everybody knows about you. Everybody knows about you. And they shouldn't fucking know.
That boy CB be singing, man.
He be singing.
CB be, and people try to sleep on his vocals for some reason. They really do.
Okay.
Really?
People try to sleep on CB. Wait, Nick, do you not think he's a good?
No. I know Chris Brown is a singer. Let me stop there. No, Chris Brown is a great singer. We're not gonna do this.
Yeah, we're not gonna do this.
Okay, all right. Let's keep it positive. Nick, what did you bring for us, good brother?
First of all, I love that song. I knew that song. I ran the project. That was off Heartbreak on a Full Moon, and I remember that one as one of the standout tracks. So thank you for bringing that back to me. I remember yeah. I love that. But I actually brought a gem from a project that kind of didn't get no love, and I think that's because of his prior project was so great. This is Anderson .Paak that I'm speaking about. So this song is off of Oxnard, which is the one that came right after Malibu's off Oxnard. So this is Cheers by Anderson .Paak featuring Q-Tip, produced by Dr. Dre.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm working on the world premiere, and I can see the world from here. They ask me where I'm going from here. Shit, anywhere, long as the runway is clear. Shit, music business moving too fast for me. Wishing I still had Mac with me. Yes, Lord. How do you tell a nigga slow it down?
when you're living just as fast as them. I couldn't understand when I seen them stretched out cold on the pavement. Niggas catch TKOs on occasion, wishing I could save them. What was I to say? I was doing dates, dipping in and out of state. We was going in to get away, sick of feeling so out of place, wishing I could save you. What was I to say? Wishing I could save you, but now it's too late. Now is this really what I wanted? Is it really worth the pain? Now am I really an asshole? Fuck what you say. Don't do me no favors, let's get back to basics. We live for today, bitch. Fuck up out my way, bitch. I'm losing all my aces, I'm running out of patience. Got some pretty faces, knowing what my name is. Up in high places, I got some new neighbors. They don't really say shit, but when they see the spaceship, they just think I rap or some form of entertainment. But they don't know I'm black, young, gifted, and amazing. You know I had to close my eyes. Yeah, I have to free my mind. Yeah, I'm in my own lane, moving all the lies, knowing that I can't do it on my own. And I can feel the pain till I'm coming home. About to run away, think I'm going.
Okay, you know what I'm saying?
That's dope.
Yes, I love Anderson .Paak. I've been loving Paak for a long time. I'm from California, so I gotta show him love.
What part?
For the home team. I'm from outside of LA.
Okay.
Covina.
Yeah. I'm from
Are you
outside
there
of LA,
now?
East of downtown. No. I'm in New York. See that sun, that Harlem sun shining down on me.
Harlem World.
Yeah. But I just love that track. I was listening. You know, I've been wanting to find like projects, quote unquote, that we didn't get, that didn't give any love, and I ran that back because I was like, why didn't I like Oxnard? Or why didn't people really like this project? Because he had maybe put out Ventura maybe like 3 months after that project came out. So and I think it kind of got swept under the rug. And so I was listening back to it. I'm like, wait, this is not as bad as people think. I know it's maybe not what they were expecting, but that song really stood out to me, especially when the beat drops and then he goes back into his rapping. And I love his choices of instrumentation. Obviously, a lot of live instrumentation. I love that in my own music. Yeah, it's so soulful, and the layers in the production is always so high. So I love that one. Armon, what you got, man?
I brought a track by one of my favorite artists. I've been very vocal about him on this podcast. This is "Don't Do It For You No More" by PARTYNEXTDOOR. Summer 16 bop, produced by Business Boy.
The homie Biz.
Hey, yo, Biz, good looking, fool.
One little step too far. I think I'm on the edge of losing it. I think I apologize enough. I'm sorry. 2 shots for me and a bottle for her last. Cause if I told the truth, still wouldn't make it alright. Hard to find the words when they all been said. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Say I don't make you smile, say I don't make you laugh, say things don't cross your mind and make you forget about the past. Say I don't do for you no more, baby. Don't do for you no more, baby. 2 little steps too far. I think I'm on the edge of losing us. I think I apologize enough. I mean, how many times can I say sorry? I mean, need 2 shots for me and a bottle for her last. Cause if I told the truth, still wouldn't make it alright. It's still hard to find the words when they all been said. I'm sorry.
That's tough.
That's my joint.
What album was that off of?
Well, he just recently put it out on Party Pack. It was a Lucy he put out Summer 16. I remember it was like right around when he dropped P3. He put out like a bunch of music before PARTYNEXTDOOR 3 and then he put out the album. But I had this on repeat Summer 16. This was my joint Summer 16. So it was
That's
really
why I remember it.
Yeah, I played it in the treehouse all the time, all the time.
Yeah,
You
that's
know
why I
what's
remember it.
what's my favorite P&D album? Party Next Door 2.
Yeah, no, that's his best project, easily his best project.
Everyone loves that one.
Parties.
I
like
just
that.
it always gives me like nostalgia when I listen to it, and it just. I remember in 2016. Speaking of 2016, I was in LA with my homegirl Nika Moore. She's a singer, and we just had such an amazing time in LA. Like that trip was so much fun. We got into so many dope things, and I remember like we used to always listen to this album. So every time I hear it, it just reminds me of that time, like that we were, in LA. And it just gives me so much like deja vu and nostalgia. And just the album itself is so fucking good. PND is amazing, man.
That's my dog.
He's a goat.
Shout out to him. Shout out to Business Boy for that production. And as you all know, you can hear these slides on our slide deck playlist on Apple and Spotify. Hit the link tree in our IG and Twitter bio. Artists, if you want to send us some slides, Stay Busy Pod on IG and Twitter, or staybusypod@gmail.com. Hit us up. You know we're gonna play it. You've seen us play it, so send us some stuff. We're gonna play it for y'all. It's time for the fun. Perfection, are you ready for auto reply?
Kinda. I'm a little nervous, but let's see what you guys got for me.
All right. Well, this is it's a fun segment, Nick's brainchild. We're gonna go back and forth and say a word. You tell us the first thing that comes to mind. No pressure. Have fun with it. We're just trying to warm up for the interview portion. So Nick, kick us off.
Style.
Clothing.
Okay. Wine.
Moscato.
There we go. Console.
SSL.
Mm-hmm.
Revolutionary.
Me.
Challenges.
Inevitable.
Bars. DAW or DAW?
It's DAW, yeah.
DAW, okay.
FL Studio for sure.
Logic,
Big Fruity Loops.
Logic.
Big Fruity Loops.
Cigars.
Not a fan.
Blap.
Everything is black.
Everything is black. Everything is black. Hi-hats.
Favorite.
Mm-hmm. Monitors.
NS10s.
Yes. Flat. And the last word is going to be perfection.
Imperfection.
Perfection with imperfection. Okay, very nice.
And this is thank you for those answers. This is a perfect transition into our board meeting. Nick, Perfection, are y'all ready for the board meeting?
I can't be more ready.
So, as you all know, we are blessed to have a talented engineer, producer, stylist, and entrepreneur here with us, Perfection. And now it's not spelled as the normal word perfection is spelled, and that really intrigued me. So our first question is, one, what made you choose the name Perfection? And secondly, why the particular spelling of it in all caps with PERFXN?
So, this is funny.
I think I know now.
So I'm a Virgo. Just throw that out there. I was born in September. Queen Bee, Kobe, Michael Jackson, Nas, Swiss Beats, just whatever.
Lots of greatness.
So when I first started Instagram, when Instagram first started, I put Love Perfection as my Instagram name because I'm not huge into the whole astrology thing, but I do think that like energies and planets and stars and shit align, right? Yeah. So yeah, but I'm not like, I don't live by astrology, right. But me being a Virgo, whatever, some of our traits people say is like, we're perfectionists. We love perfection. So I could agree with that in a sense. So that was my Instagram name, Love Perfection. So people just started calling me that, perfection. So it kind of just branded itself. And I was like, fuck it. Like, I'm just gonna let that be my producer name. because I didn't want to do Avian. Avian's my real name. My government name is Avian. I didn't want to do Avian. People used to tell me do Avian beats. It just wasn't. It just didn't stick. It just don't. I got no spice to it. So I just kept perfection, because people would naturally perfection. So I was like, fuck it. So I kept it, but I was conflicted by it after a while, because I'm like, no one's perfect. So I don't want to walk around thinking and feeling like I'm perfect, right? Like, because no one's perfect, not even me. Like within us striving for perfection, there's a lot of imperfection, right? Like, because no one's perfect. So, for a while, I was feeling like, should I change my name? Should I change it? Because it's like, no one's perfect, not even me. So I don't want people to like think that I think that highly of myself, because I don't. It just started as an Instagram name, which ended up branding itself. But in reality, sometimes I do try to not be as perfect as possible, but be as good as possible, or do things as good as possible. And I think sometimes I tend to overthink things in a sense of trying to make things perfect, kind of like even with music for a long time, like people would say, just put stuff out, just send stuff out. And I'm like, no, I want it to be as good as possible. And in my mind, I was like, take a step back from that, because you can't make things perfect as good as you try, right? No one's perfect. Nothing's perfect. You just have to do as good as you can. So I was conflicted for a while, wondering if I should change it, because again, I didn't want people to think that that's what I think of myself, because I'm not perfect. But I think it's like an alter ego kind of thing also. Like it became like a different side of me. Like I'm Avian, and then you have Perfection. It's like my creative brand. It's the producer. It's like, the super producer, like just, that's like my alter ego kind of thing. So I kept it, and I think I'm going to keep it, just because it branded itself, right? It just became its own thing. People literally call me that everywhere. Perfection, perfection. Even some of my friends like won't call me Avian, they'll just call me Perfection. So that's where that came from. And for a long time, it was just spelled as it is, as the word is, perfection. And I was just like, you know what? It's too long. Doesn't seem exciting to me. So I had a conversation with my homeboy Jay Hatch, who used to run iStandard forever. And I was just like, bro, like, I don't know, I'm just not excited by the name. Like, and then I want to create my LLC, my production company, and make that like the house for everything music. But I need a name. I need something interesting. And we were going back and forth. And I was like, he's like, why don't you change the name, the spelling of it? And I was like, damn, that's cool. I didn't want to veer too far off. So I came with Perfection with the X. And, when you say perfection, it kind of sounds like it has an X in there. Perfect. You know what I mean? So I was like, let me just spell it like that. And then I don't know, it's just something about like certain words being bold that just, it's a statement. And I don't know, just sometimes certain words in bold just look cooler. So that's where, so that's where that came from. Yeah.
So how do you feel like Perfection sets you apart from other people?
The name,
the it's almost as if you're like, between Avian and Perfection, you're sort of like straddling the line between like an alter ego, maybe like your brand. Like how do you think that sets you apart from everyone else?
because I think it's probably intriguing for people. It's like Perfection, like who's this? What is that? Like, what's perfect about perfection? Like what's the perfection about? You know what I mean? So I guess like, it's intriguing. Like
I like that.
I don't know. I guess it makes a little bit of a statement, because I think for people it's like, oh, perfection. What is that about? Like, let's see what you got going on. So I think that, the word is intriguing in itself for some people. When they see me, they look at me and they're like, okay, let's see what you're about. I think if I would, well, a lot of people tell me like, Avian, that's a beautiful name. I've never heard anyone with that. Right. So they're just two completely different. Like, I think for me, and you mentioned Clubhouse earlier, like I have Avian as my name on Clubhouse, because I think when people first signed up for Clubhouse, they put their name, and then when they realize what it is, it's like, oh shit, like I should have put my actual brand or
Yeah.
my creative name, but I do sometimes like to separate them because there's certain spaces where I don't want to call myself perfection. You know what I mean? There's certain like professional environments where I do want to shake someone's hand and say, "Hey, I'm avian," you know? So
Yes.
I think they're for some people, they're both cool and intriguing names because it's like, oh shit, I've never heard of avian. Like that's a dope name. Where is it from? Where are you from? And then perfection, people are like, what's that about? Like what's perfect? What's your vibe? You know? So I think both of them just set me apart naturally because people are intrigued by what's behind the name or the meaning.
So can you go into a little bit more about yourself through your musical background, how you started, and how music and fashion sort of came together, and speak to each respectively, how you got into both?
So I come from a family of musicians. My dad was a musician. He had a band in the Dominican Republic with his brothers and sisters. So it's probably like a band of maybe 4 or 5 of them. So I grew up listening to my dad play instruments or try to learn instruments. I remember when I was younger, he was trying to teach himself how to play the guitar. And I have uncles who are musicians as well. So I was always around it, but I never, like I embraced it, but I never took a liking of it on my own until I was late teens actually, where I was always in fashion. You know, I had 9 to 5s. I started working when I was 16, and when I was looking for my own jobs to make my own money and not ask my parents for money constantly, I just ended up working in, little boutiques and things of that nature. And, ended up working from one place to the other to the other. And I just started working at like little high-end boutiques that taught me more about fashion, taught me more about fabrics, and just opened the doors for me to learn more about the fashion industry. But while doing that as my 9 to 5, I was deciding if I wanted to go to college or not. So I actually went to school for forensic science. I went to college for forensic science because I was a huge CSI nerd after high school. But when I went to college, I was like, this is boring. Like, I'm not a bookworm. I don't like writing. I hate writing papers. Like, if my professor told me to write 20 pages, you'll probably get like 11. And it's like, it's like, well, this is what I got. Like, it's like, this is, like literally, it's just like, it's like changing the font. You know what I mean? Like, it just wasn't me. And I had to be realistic with that. I said, you know what, I'm not into this. And then not to mention the fact when I went to college, I wasn't doing any of the forensic science courses. It was just like literature classes that had nothing to do with anything. And I was just like, what is this? So, I kind of took a semester off and was like, I actually want to pursue music. That's my passion. I love listening to music. I come from a family of musicians. Every time I hear music, I'm always breaking it down, like the lyrics, the beat, everything. I was always more technical than anything. I used to always mess with computers, always just that kind of thing. So I was like, I'm gonna make beats. Just make beats. And my friend was like, fuck it, just do it. So I learned on my own. I was self-taught. And then some of the homies had a studio in the Bronx, and I used to just kick it with them. I used to just watch. They were so much better than me, obviously. So I just used to go to the studio, watch, learn, ask questions, like just play around with the DAWs. And at one point I was like, I want to take my knowledge to the next level. And I felt like maybe I should go to engineering school or like just an audio technology school. So I started looking into that. I went to IAR. They closed, I think maybe about 2 years ago or so. But I went to IAR and I didn't like it. It just felt like the same thing. Like I'm in a class full of 25 people. They're gonna give me this textbook, and that's just not my vibe. Like I like learning hands-on. I like learning in small groups. So I ended up not going to the school. I had a friend. By this time, I was still working in the fashion industry. I was managing a very small boutique. It was a women's designer boutique. So I had a lot of access to everyone that came in and out because it was just me and my boss. So that's when I met Angela Yee. She was actually a client of mine at the boutique. So I met her in like 2012, and we just started kicking it. And I was still involved in the music, but still doing a 9 to 5 fashion stuff. And then one of my homies interned at a studio at Engine Room, and he's like, well, you're trying to go to IAR. they're actually trying to create their own IAR program. You should just come here.
Okay.
And he's like, because I'm an intern here and, you know, I'm here. And also he's like, Angela knows the studio owner for 20 years and you know Angela. So I'm like,
what's for you is for you. Okay.
Exactly. So I'm like, I mean, this makes sense. So I had a meeting with Scott, who's the studio owner, who Angela was friends with. And he's like, Angela put in a good word for you. Like, you know, Joe put in a good word for you. Let's try it out. So I was like, fuck it. The program was in the studio, which was great because it was hands-on.
Perfect. Yeah.
It was probably like, no pun.
Right.
But yeah, so it was just like a class of 6. It was really a trial program for them. It was really, it was like the first program. It was a trial and the only program that they've had.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was like 6 students. We did it for about maybe 5-6 months. And after, and I was still in the fashion industry. I was still working at the boutique, still meeting people, still, you know, grinding, doing my own music, but yeah, still doing a 9 to 5. But when I was in the store, I was like, I'm sick of retail. Like fashion is cool, but I just don't want to deal with the retail side of things. Like I'm tired of being here for 8 hours, like just the whole thing of retail, right? So I said the next job I get is going to be in the music industry and I'm not going back. So after I finished the program, Scott was like, hey, like, can you intern for us? Like twice a week. And I was like, fuck it. I still have my job. So I was like, whatever, I could come and help you guys with social media and help you guys put together newsletters, whatever. So I would come maybe like 4 hours a day, like twice a week. And I remember I created the newsletter and he was like, yo, the fuck, this shit is so good. And it was just something that I like put together like super regular on the fly. Super.
So that's regular, baby.
Yeah, he was like, you know, can you do a newsletter? I did something like a draft super on the fly. And he's like, you know, he's like, we want you to manage the studio. So I went from interning for 2 months to being like the assistant studio manager working under Scott. And he actually, they ended up firing the girl who had the position to hire me. And I felt bad because it's not, I didn't ask for it. Like I literally did not ask for it, you know, but they were like, she's just not doing anything. She's not contributing. She's just there. She just didn't have the professionalism to be able to like take the position and run with it, right? Like she would just come and just do the basics. But even then, like they just didn't trust her. Like she just used to screw up emails and, you know, just the little things. So they're like, what are we doing? So they hired me. They offered me a position, and I was like, "Fuck it!" Like I've been trying to leave the store. This is it.
Run it.
Yeah. So I didn't look back. So they kind of broke the news to her, and I felt bad because she was actually one of the students in the course with me. So she worked. So she worked at the studio and was a student too. So like we would be around each other, and I felt bad because I'm like, damn, like I don't want her to think that like I stole her job, but it was given to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like I ended up just working at the studio for 4 years. So in that 4 years, you know, Angela used to have her Angela Yee podcast way before like she brought it back and I was working on it. She used to have it up at Sirius Radio, Sirius XM, but she wanted to now like, you know, take it to the next level. So when I started working there, that's when she started bringing the podcast to the studio. We started co-producing it for her. Like she used to record there. Then we ended up getting like a camera crew to really put it together. So that's how I got into like doing lip service with her. So I went from like working with her in the boutique as a client where she would come and shop to like now being at the studio, and then her, you know, bringing her podcast and then me co-producing it. So, you know, in the midst of me working at the studio for 4 years, I just met so many people. I learned so many things. Like even the engineers and producers at the studio have definitely helped me take my production to the next level, because I would just ask questions. Yo, how can I, you know, mix this better? Like, how can I EQ this differently? How can I, you know, and like the guys really embraced me. And just all the people that I met at the studio, from A&Rs to managers to artists to people at labels to other producers, you know, really like helped me just expand my knowledge and my experience in production. And it just helped me just build more relationships. So, you know, I just did that for years and kept grinding. And then I just felt like I felt like I outgrew the studio. I felt like I hit a ceiling and I was just like, I need to do my own thing. So I told them, I was like, look, I'm not as happy as I used to be before, because it was just the workload grew and I felt like it was affecting my creativity. So I was just like, look, I need to step away and just focus on me. So I did that, and it was tough. I did that last year. I left last year, and it was tough. It was scary because I had no backup plan, you know, but I knew I had to leave, and everything just started moving from there, you know, just relationships that I had just ended up just the relationships that I grew over the years ended up helping me when I left that job, you know, like just the different opportunities and stuff like that. So now I'm here.
It's awesome. So can you, you know, as we've seen in the music industry in various aspects, men aren't always so happy when women are better than them at something or can do what they do. Some might try to limit your opportunities. Some might try to blackball you. And then there are, you know, the quality men who recognize how talented women are and embrace them and help them to help to uplift them, as you've experienced and you spoke about. So just generally, as a woman producer in the game, can you speak towards your experiences and if you ever felt like people were trying to hinder you from certain opportunities, or has it been general, you know, support and
I think truly, and I was having this conversation the other day on Clubhouse where like the women were saying that men need to support them or like things of that nature. And I was just saying, like, throughout the course of my career, my time in the music industry, I've had mainly men be the ones to support me. You know, I never felt like I had any male try to like blackmail me or hinder my success, unless they're doing it behind the scenes and I'm completely oblivious to it. But majority of the men that I work with have been very, very helpful and have embraced me and have been willing to work with me, which I'm so grateful for. And I think it's mainly because of my work ethic, right? It's like, we see that you're a hustler. We see that you're serious about this. You're not just a pretty girl trying to get in the door because you're a pretty girl. It's like, no, let's work, let's build, let's collab, let's get this money, let's grind. Like, how can we help each other? And then the relationships that I have, I guess, kind of help in that sense, where it's like, okay, you have people that are relevant and that are a certain level that value you and respect you. There's a reason for that. So let's try to get to know you and figure out why. Like there's a reason why these people have respect for you and work with you, right? So I think, you know, all of those things have helped me kind of navigate and be able to, you know, just have success in the industry. I feel like there's so many things that I still have to do, but what I've done so far have been great milestones for me and for someone being like an up and coming producer still and someone that's independent. I've had like, you know, small wins because of the relationships I have and because the men that I work with, like, and women too. Like, I think Angela has definitely helped me so much. She was probably the first person that helped me, you know what I mean? So there's definitely women. I do feel like there's some women in the industry that might not want to help me because they might be like, I don't want to say jealous, but like, you know, mean girls. Like women are more catty than men, right? Women would embrace you because we got to stick together. But then there are some women that are like, I'm intimidated by her, or I don't know her, or there's some girls, like there's a couple girls that I know off the back of my mind that I'm like, oh, you don't fuck with me. I don't know why, but like, you're not giving me an opportunity because you don't fuck with me. And that's fine because I'm going to show you. But like, I've felt that energy more from women. On the flip side, with men, I do think that like, it's interesting because as a producer, now I got to compete with the boys, right? Now I got to like compete to get my beats on albums that like Boy Wonder might want to try to get on, right? Like, or whoever. So I think it's in that aspect, that's what I see. Like, damn, like now Like guys are looking at me as like, wow, she's dope. She's a female producer. Like we got to embrace that. But I'm sure some men are like, you're still a producer. And, you know,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my shit off before you. But I've been embraced by men like so much in the game that I can't even complain. I can't even say anything bad about it, you know?
Love that.
But that's my experience personally. I've been fortunate enough to have that experience. So
Right.
I can't speak for other women, you know?
Yeah.
So how did the whole opportunity with Blapchat come to be? Can you talk about that? Like how that
Um,
came?
so I met Illmind and Atlas at Engine Room because um, you know, mutual friends. At Engine Room, we used to throw these annual holiday parties, which
Okay.
used to be insane. So we used to host them with Angela and Combat Jack. I don't know if you guys are aware of
RP
Combat.
Combat. Yeah.
Yeah,
He went to
rest in peace,
Cornell.
Combat.
We
Yeah,
went to
he
school.
actually, yeah, he used to record his podcast at Engine Room too. So Engine Room was like the hub for a lot of stuff like Taxstone, Combat Jack, Lip Service, the Reed, Charlemagne, like so many things. So there was so much momentum at the studio at that time. And this was probably like the first 2 years that I started working there. So like
Right.
2015 and 16. After that, we haven't thrown a holiday party since because it's just a lot. Like we literally used to have like 500-600 people in the fucking building. Like it was just bad. Like I remember one year somebody leaked our flyer and we had like 1,000 RSVPs and we're like, bro, we only want like 300 people in here. How are we gonna go through this list? Because you don't want to just say yes to everyone, right? You want to make sure that the people are there. People that are there are people you want to be there and people that have to be there. So the holiday parties used to be a mess.
Oh my goodness.
But I met Illmind and Atlas at the holiday party because they were
Okay.
invited by Combat, and that was like the first time that I met them. And then we just, you know, we just kept building from there. And Illmind already had Blap. It was called Blap on a Radio, I believe.
Okay.
And he had co-hosts, but he was trying to reinvent it. He was trying to like do something new with it. And I remember I hung out with Atlas. I seen them at another holiday party. I think Atlas and Illmind, or just Atlas. And he was like, you know, Illmind's trying to bring this back. And we were considering having you as a co-host. And I was like nervous as shit because I was just like, I was doing lip service, you know, co-producing that and occasionally co-hosting, but rarely. But I'm like, I don't want to sound crazy on the mic, you know? So it was like just new for me to be a co-host. I was almost gonna say no, like at first, you know,
Wow.
which is crazy. I was just like, is this for me? Like, am I gonna be good at it? Like, I don't want to sound stupid and say the wrong thing. And Atlas was like, yo, no pressure. Like, let's just do a test interview next week. Like, just all of us, you know, Glam too, and then we'll take it from there. See how you like it. So we're like, all right. So we did the first interview. It was super dope. And then when we finished, they're like, all right, next week, same time, Thursday.
They got you. Like,
You here? You locked in.
I got you.
So we was like, yeah. And then the rest was history. But yeah, I met him at Engine Room at the holiday party. And then, you know, they just wanted us on. And I think me and Glenn were kind of like, I mean, okay,
Sure.
cool,
Yeah.
let's try it. And then we just never went back. So
Good. Did you have a bit of it, like you feel like imposter syndrome about it? Did you feel like you were unqualified to do it? Was that a part of like the apprehension?
Maybe, yeah. I think like I don't know if I thought of it. I don't know if at that moment I thought of the word unqualified, but maybe that was subconsciously that was the thought behind it. Like, wait, I've never done anything like this. Like, I don't know if I'll be good at it. What are we gonna talk about? What if he starts talking about something that I have no knowledge in and then I look crazy? Like all those thoughts came to my mind and it was completely none of that, you know? So yeah.
Right. No, the reason I brought it up because we'd had a conversation either last week, you know, with one of our guests, Kojo, who works at Asylum. And he was talking about, we just, you know, wanted to speak about a little bit of imposter syndrome because sometimes that can come out, you know, people feeling like they're not qualified to speak on something, a topic, maybe because they don't have that experience. Like if you're on a producer panel, but you haven't got a placement, but you've been producing for years and you really do know your craft, but the external validating factors for you to be able to be a producer whatever, you know, like may not be there. And so I think
Mhm.
oftentimes a lot of creatives battle with that, those sort of like things. And we see that a lot of on Clubhouse, a lot of posturing, like people who are like,
Yeah,
you know, they're everybody's an A&R, but it's like, well, who have
right.
you A&R'd? And then there's some people who are like, yeah, they're working and they built with small artists, and you could just tell, regardless of accolades, who really does know what they're doing and talking about. And so I think that you know, I just wanted to bring that point up because
Yeah, and
it's been a thread we've been speaking on for sure.
it's interesting, right? Because like I just got my first major placement, right? That's releasing.
Okay.
It's actually releasing on Wednesday. So like it's that conversation is funny because it's like, what qualifies you to do and be anything? Is it like the fact that you did it? Because I've been producing for a long time, but I do think that over the years, my production has definitely got better. My knowledge in production and audio and generally has gotten better. I'm around a lot of people that if I don't have the answers, they do, you know, and sometimes I do have a lot of the answers because of the people I'm around and the work that I've done, but I haven't had a major placement. So like, does that disqualify me from the conversation because I don't have that to show? And then it's like, okay, now next week, a song that I produced is going to be released. So now it makes me qualified, you know? So like, it's just an interesting conversation. I do think that there are people that have no knowledge that speak on things, you know, but I don't know. It's just like, what qualifies us to be good at anything? Is it like the stamp of saying like, I achieved it?
You never know. I mean, yeah, I agree. It is and you know, obviously resume speaks for itself in a lot of ways, and I think that it's always hard to get the first one, and then when we get there, and then the rest comes too. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, Armon.
What are some upcoming projects that you're working on, you're involved in, that you're looking forward to? And if you can't speak about it, if you want to, you know, keep it on the low till it's time, that's completely fine. But we just want to know like what you're up to these days.
So right now I have a song releasing on Wednesday with Vori and Beam. Vori's actually Meek Mill's new protege, his new artist that he's been pushing. Super fire. His pen game is crazy and his artistry is crazy. Like he wrote for Beyonce, he wrote some stuff for Drake. So like just now him being coming out as a full throttle artist with this backing behind him is super dope. So and it's my first placement, like major labels. So
congrats.
You know, thank you. So
right, exclusives, y'all.
Which you know, it's so funny. You know, it's so funny. Like we worked on this record in January, so almost a year. So I've kind of I've had the record. Like they sent me a bounce of the song when it happened. So I've been holding on to this song since January. Wow. So like at this point, like I've heard it 90 million times and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like it's coming out. But I think the excitement is the fact that it's coming out on a larger scale and it's my first placement. So like, you know, it's like bittersweet. So I have that coming out, and then just the DJ Khaled stuff that I'm working on. The first one that has me like extremely busy more than anything. So just editing those shows. I'm doing post-production on that. And we have a Diddy episode coming out that I'm currently editing. So they're trying to potentially release it on Thursday, but it's mainly scheduled to be released on the 19th or something. But Khaled enjoys taking things off schedule. So
sounds like him.
So he's trying to put that out sooner than later. So I've been super busy just working on that specific episode and other episodes within the show. So I'm just super excited to be a part of that. It's exclusively on Amazon. It's free with the app if you have the app, and it's amazing conversation. It's actually one of my favorite things that I'm working on and have been working on in a while, because just honestly, hearing all of the respect that these big artists have for Khaled is exciting. Like people think Khaled's like this crazy guy that dances and does all this funny stuff on social media, and he has like dope records, but he's been around for a lot of shit. Like
it's about the work.
He works.
Like this, like like the stories that Lil Wayne has said about him, like even Puff, even Big Sean, like he's been grinding and he's been instrumental in a lot of their careers. So that's my favorite part, is like doing this project and working on each episode and hearing what people have to say. So that's what I'm working on so far, is like the Khaled stuff that's coming out every Thursday, and then the Vori record. Everything else is, you know, is coming.
Very, very nice. Okay, look at you, perfection, staying perfect.
I think the perfect way to close this is to discuss your legacy and what you want to leave behind. So what's one thing you want the people to remember about PERFXN when it's all said and done?
I would say my contribution to the culture, good music. Yeah, I think leaving behind things that are contributions to growing the culture and positive things in the culture, and that goes from like music and fashion, right? Like I want to be able to release like timeless music, great music that's timeless, with artists that are timeless, and just products that make people feel good, whether that's music and clothes. Really, you know, that's what I'm about.
Well, man, we got quite an episode out of you. We want to thank you so much for your insight, for your openness, for your candor, for being just unfiltered, and you really gave us so much. So bulletin board, like we said, we got a Vori track dropping, produced by PERFXN Wednesday. I'm tapped in. I'm sure there's some virtual concerts or panels coming up. I can't really think of anything.
Do you want to plug your brand one more time, PERFXN?
Yes, please.
It's so it's Lifers. We're on Etsy right now. I'm working on a website. So it's LXFERS on Instagram. So this is it. It's, you know, men and women. We also have stuff for kids. We have stuff for dogs. You know what I mean? So for my dogs. So yeah, just, you know, check us out on social. We're constantly creating new pieces, and yeah.
Excellent. All right. Excellent. Well, again, we want to thank you so much for pulling up to the Busyverse, as we call it. We had a really, really great time. You gave us so much, and the listeners, you all are in for a treat.
Yeah.
And of course,
I had fun. Thank you.
Yes. And a special day, one more time, happy birthday to the boy, Nick Early, big 25. We sipping.
I got a shot.
Yeah.
There you go.
I wish I had the Migos next to me. I'll make us take one together on camera. But it's cool. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for joining us for one more episode. It's the boy Armon. We got Nick here. We got PERFXN. Stay busy, stay perfect. Wash your hands. Wear your mask. I mean, I guess if you want to go out, but like be smart. You don't
stay 6 feet. Stay 6 feet.
Distance. I understand she might be bad. I understand he might be handsome, but distancing. But stay safe, stay humble, stay busy. Let's hear that outro.
Baby girl, how you feeling? I've been out in the world, staying busy, taking time, getting right if you miss me. I've been out in the world, staying busy.
Mondays 9 a.m. Party with the gang. Every week, tell a friend. Busy over everything. Busy boys, how they call now? Ain't you heard? Got the vibes. They put you on. Got the slides. I'm the size. When in doubt, no, we hold it down.
Baby girl, how you feeling? I've been out in the world, staying busy, taking time, getting right if you miss me. I've been out in the world, staying busy.